All right, I got a question for you right now. What are you doing right now? I mean, right now, what are you doing? Okay, I know that's probably kind of a dumb question because obviously what you're doing right now is you're watching this video. But the question is, are you doing anything else right now or are you just watching this video? In other words, are you right now cooking maybe while you're watching this video? Or are you getting ready for work while you're watching this video? Or are you driving while you're watching this video? Please tell me you're not driving while you're watching this video, okay? Please just tell me that. But here's the thing about what we're doing right now is I don't know about you, but I have problems with the now because oftentimes my nows are not taken up by what's happening now. A lot of times my now is thinking about what happened before as well as maybe what's going to happen next. It's a lot of times not about what's really happening in the now. And we can call it impatience, we can call it distractions, we can call it being unfocused, we can call it whatever we like. But the bottom line is sometimes we have a problem with the now because we're so worried about what was or we're so anxious about what is to come that we simply don't spend time in the now. And trust me, I am as bad as anyone else when it comes to this. So as I was thinking about this idea of experiencing the now, I thought about the experience of Abraham and Sarah. Because if you know their story, you know that there was a period of time where God calls Abraham and God invites Abraham to go from where he was into a place that he did not yet know, but on the promise that God was going to lead him. And this promise that God was going to leave him was so that he could be a blessing to others. God was going to bless him and he was going to be a blessing to others. And he and his wife Sarah were going to have children, which would be the beginnings of this new nation that God was going to work through. And so God sent Abraham and Sarah off into the unknown so that they would become this blessing. Here's the problem. God was good on his promise, but not as quickly as Abraham wanted him to be good on this promise. In other words, Abraham kept thinking about this promise and he was anxious about the future, so much so that he and Sarah never really seemed, if you look at their story, they never really seemed to be able to enjoy and appreciate the now that God was giving him. You see, they had this opportunity to be together on this adventure, and all Sarah could worry about was the fact that she hadn't gotten pregnant. Her inability to trust God led her to give Abraham concubines so that could be the way in which the ancestors would be produced. And it affected the way Abraham and Sarah related to one another. And Abraham was so impatient himself that he had the same experience. I think Abraham was not able to enjoy and appreciate and learn what it meant to follow God because he was so worried about the fact that this future wasn't happening at the moment. And he kept thinking about that promise and thinking he had to make this happen. And Sarah thinking that she had to make this happen. And so at one place in Genesis chapter 15, I think he just gets anxious. And this is what happens. Genesis chapter 15, verse 1. After these things, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision. Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield. Your reward shall be very great. But Abraham said, O Lord God, O Lord God, what will you give me? For I continue to be childless, and my heir is from the house of Eleazar of Damascus. And Abraham said, "You have given me no offspring, so a slave born in my household will be my heir." But then the word of the Lord came to him, "This man will not be your heir. No one but your own issue shall be your heir." He brought him outside to look towards the heavens and count the stars. Look towards those heavens, God said. Count the stars if you are able to count them. Then he said to Abraham, "So shall your descendants be." And he, that is Abraham, believed the Lord, and he reckoned him as righteous. You know, I wondered to myself as I read that passage, if every time going forward that Abraham was beginning to get anxious, he didn't sit up and look at the stars and think to himself, "Okay, Lord, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to trust you." You know, Abraham and Sarah both were so worried about what was going to happen that they forgot to enjoy what was happening. I read this line. It says, "You see, we are always disappointed in what we actually have. We are always rushing into the future. The reason we're rushing into the future is because we're not experiencing the wholeness of the present. And when we haven't grasped the present, we always live under an illusion. It is an illusion that the next moment or place is going to be better." What if today, at this moment, is the day that you need to enjoy and live in? What if the now has so many gifts that we keep missing it because we're worried about what's going to happen next? Sometime during the next few weeks, if the clouds aren't covering those stars, go outside and just take a look and ask God to help you enjoy that moment. Or sometime maybe when you're watching your children or your grandchildren play, or you're just sitting somewhere and you're watching children in general playing, look at that moment and enjoy that moment for what it is right then. Or sometime when you were sitting among a group of friends, or maybe with one companion who's been with you on your journey, just stop in that moment and say, "Lord, thank you for this now. Help me understand and make this now the best now it can ever be." Because there's a lot happening in the now, and God will take care of the next.